It's thinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Hi, everybody.
It's great to be back again. We have a very nice team. In fact, it's continuation from the last, session when we talk about longevity. We are today, as always, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. So if you be so kind and put us, Finland greets the world. F1. Let's start. Lisa, did you watch the World Ice Hockey? And who
I
did you support?
did.
I was sorry for Switzerland because they should deserve to win, but they were in the
So,
final last year. They were final against Czech Republic. In fact,
exact.
this
And they
team,
lost
yeah.
because they always lose in the
But
finals or
it
semifinals.
is
They can
it
never
is
pull it through.
it is a good team, definitely. And US they won after like 67 years or whatever, after
Yes.
really a very long time. So
And
again.
I will just say this. In our family, it was divided. I was Team USA and everyone else was Team Switzerland.
I
So,
can imagine. There is one of the best players in Czech team is Pastrňák. Is one of the best, guys in NHL. And his wife, or his, she's a girlfriend, but they have got kids together or one child. But the wife is from Sweden, So she was like having a Swedish dress. She was having a Swedish dress, and the daughter was in the Czech dress. So it's kind of nice, way how to solve the issue.
that's the thing. It's hard. Who are you loyal to, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I love those matches because then you're happy no matter who wins,
Yeah.
right? So
okay, so ladies and gentlemen, why don't we kick it off? So Lisa, if you would introduce the team and we can start.
Love to. This is a fun theme. So for those of you who didn't check us out last time, you can find us. The video recording is still on YouTube. So you can always watch part one before. But we started talking last time about longevity and how it's not just luck. It's not like, oh, sometimes, it's genetics and you live longer. No, there's so many strategies that you can use. And longevity is not only about how do you live longer. It was also about health span that we talked about. But we talked about how do you use that as part of your career? How do you make that so that your career can last longer? You can see, at least across Europe, they're looking at how do we keep moving that retirement age? And we're getting to 70 in some countries. And who knows how long we're going to be working, 75, 80 for future generations. So how do we make all these years good, strong working years that we can be proud of? And so, like I said, last time we talked about high performance. It wasn't about like just pushing hard and pushing through. It was how to get performance. But today we want to talk about like this more longer term resilience, go drop in on a few topics, at least from my side. I made a note. We got to talk about relationships today. We've got to talk about closing stress cycles a little bit in more detail. These are the practical tools. So again, we always give theory, but these are the practical tools, what you should be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to make sure that you're getting, really good health-wise. And beyond the tips that maybe you've heard before, we want to go into some of the new science about it.
Yeah. And I will, start with kind of the big picture, how I, feel what is happening these days. And interesting enough, as Lisa said, there is a problem, especially in Europe, with the fact that we don't have enough, young population. There's a definitely demographic issue. If you want to keep your population flat, you need to have 2.1 children per woman, okay? Which is in majority of the European countries, it's not the case. It's I think the average is 1.6 or 1.7. In Czech is in my country is a little bit, less. So there's a definitely, issue with, demography. And with demography, you need, to get in the pension, older, if you will, work, longer time. You need to encourage population to have more kids, but it will take, some time, right? Obviously. You need to, and I think we are missing this discussion. You need to discuss about competitiveness and productivity, because that can drive also economical, output. And last but not least, you need to question, is it really that all people want to retire when they are 65, 67 years old. Come on. I mean, I absolutely love what I do. And I mean, like, officially, I should retire in 10 months from now, right? It's like 64 and 4 months or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to retire. I mean, obviously I'll get some, pension, both from Czech Republic and later on from Germany, because I used to work there. That's fine,
Right,
but I will still work. And now we have this discussion. If we talk about longevity, we should have this discussion about balance between the job and the meaning, and how to, marry it together, right? Because, if you are born, you want to be authentic. You want your genes to be expressed freely, yes, right? And you want to be connected with the other, people. So if you have a job where, which you basically love, and you are helping other people, that's the best thing. Okay, so those are two elements, like jobs and, meaning. And the third element, obviously, I think politicians are like, oh, we should, make sure that people will retire when they are 70, or 67 or 68 or whatever. But they are not taking in account at all artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence will kill some jobs and will create some new jobs, right? But I think it's, at the end of the day, it's really, I think, maybe we will not call it in the future, jobs. We will call it, hobbies or whatever. But I think if you do meaningful, because for me, what I do, whether it's with executives, kids, athletes, it's like hobby for me. And it's quite, well paid in some cases. No, really. So this is it. And I think the discussion should be much, broader. Because really, longevity is not like, okay, I wanted to die in my job, whatever. No, I wanted to live healthy longer. That's longevity. A lot of people think, this is some, marketing bullshit, whatever. There is a lot of marketing bullshit around longevity, for sure. But this is reality. One thing which I want to, mention, because you talk about relationship, for sure we will, talk about relationship, trust, and so on, about, toxic relationships, because that's shortening your average age. But then, 5-7 years ago, we thought that the biggest impact on longevity is about, food, what you eat. It's still very important what you eat, don't take me wrong. But we figure out it's in fact sport and movement, because you can have, guys, you can have a great diet. You can have like all vegetables and, fish and chicken, whatever, right? But if you will not move, because we will talk also about the energy, then you will not, create, muscles and so on. And if you are getting older, and older, it doesn't mean like me, I'm 63, it's really getting older. Even if you are 40, make sure that you still have some muscle mass, because that's the reason why people, have some problems later on, is that they didn't have enough, muscles usually. They are breaking the bones and stuff like that. So, in fact, they figure out that it's important to do like to run or to walk, but also to do heavy lifting. Even if you are like 70, 80 years old, that's what I do. And you can do it with your weight. I do, different things. So that's kind of the, frame. And we can now do some more deep dive,
I just wanted to say, Jan, I love that you brought up this muscle mass thing, because it's actually number one on my list of the easiest things that we could do. Like, it's available to any of you. So for example, when you're brushing your teeth, we talked about stand on one foot, work on your balance, right? You can go to Decathlon and you can get these like foam, these cushions that you can inflate, and then you just stand on one, and it's very hard to keep your balance. When you can work the tiny muscles that work on your balance,
exactly,
then you don't have as many falls. Or if you trip, you're able to recover yourself. As Jan said, for anyone who's watching the video, you can do arm, pulls. You don't even have to have fancy weights. You don't even have to do heavy lifting. But what most people don't know is that you absolutely have to focus on keeping and building muscle mass, because it degenerates over time naturally. And that is where we start to lose, like, how is our hunch doing? How is our health doing? We sit for too long. I love that you brought all of this up. Because we all know it and we hear it, and then we think, yeah, but I have to work in front of a computer. What can I do? Oh, nothing. Okay, I'll go for a jog on the weekend. But in fact, when you're sitting in your chair, you can be doing stuff in between meetings, right? Move around, stretch. For anybody who's watching and listening right now, do some
Absolutely.
stretches. It
Yeah.
doesn't take much
No.
to keep yourself in shape. Keep it easy. Don't only focus on the cardio. So many high performers go, I go for my run and I get it all out. I'm so pumped. And great. But really make sure you're building that muscle mass. If you're, yes, even over 35, but definitely over 40 is when it starts to deteriorate. This is one of the biggest predictors of what's going to help longevity or health span in the longer term. What's going to keep you passionate and going for doing the work you love. By the way, I just had a call with my dad right before this call. I went for a walk. So I always call my parents when I'm walking. So I'm getting some healthy stuff in. And he's going to be 79 in a few months. And he's writing another book. He didn't retire. I mean, he retired, but he's never.
I think, if I remember correctly, he's professor, right? He's a former professor.
He's a former professor of English,
yeah.
And has written, God, by now 40 plus books. But you can see he doesn't want to give it up. He's excited. He's passionate. And he's telling me all about his research for World War II. Like, he has something that keeps him going. And that's also part of longevity, is doing something you're passionate about and staying active. And so that's why when we talk about career and health span, maybe you're not working your current job for the next 40, 50 years, but you'll be working in some format. I mean, can you imagine if at 65, you just said, great, I'm done. And what would you do for the next 30 years, right? So we have to keep passions and interests alive, which means, and then I'll sort of segue back to you, Jan, which means we can't be so busy in our daily lives. Oh, I'm busy doing my work, and then I have errands to run, and I have to keep the house clean, I have to take the kids to soccer. And we can't be so busy that we don't build hobbies, that we don't keep relationships open, that we don't build the fundamentals of what actually keeps us healthy, because we're so busy being busy. Because once you're sick, once you can't work, once you retire, if you don't have some of these pillars in your life, it can be a real crisis of meaning. Better that you start building them in now and have, energy there as well throughout your life to keep your health span really strong for, many years to come.
Yeah. If you watch on Netflix the Blue Zone series, it is basically about different places around the world where people are close to 100 or over 100 years old. I was recently, like, for almost 1 month in Italy, and again I watch how people are eating, for example, right? Here we go, like, we have. Even in Italy, in those, very historical towns, you have a McDonald's, but it's like McDonald's, it's in historical part, and you would not say it's a McDonald's. It's really like, it's a different branding and stuff like that. They don't have that many fast foods at all, right? Because for them, opportunity to eat with other, people, it's like social opportunity. For you, it's like, oh, I need to get some calories, and this is it. And then I run, right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is it. So it is about, what do you eat, how to eat it. And for example, Mediterranean diet, which is a lot of like vegetables, fish, and so on. That seems to be good diet, like for, Europeans. It's kind of that's number one. Number two, what they realize that those people who are really maybe in high age are people who are usually living in those towns or the villages when they need to go like up and down all the time. So you don't need to, if Prague is relatively flat, for example, right? I don't know, Zurich is maybe not that flat like Prague, but anyway, but it's quite flat, right? But what you can do, you can walk on escalators. If everybody else is like, staying, you can, what I mean, in subway, you can do it easily. You can use your left line and you can do that, right? So it is about movement, definitely. And then that, social phenomena that people are, getting together, they just, talk, and there are like, nice groups. I was like, recently we went to the town in some Italian town with my wife. We spent like 4 hours returning back to the hotel, and there was still the same group discussing issues.
Yes. That's what we need in our relationships, more relaxed time to really be.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Jan. I mean, this is more particular to men than it is for women, but a lot of men are extremely lonely because they don't actually have friends that they feel safe enough to open up to, because men are supposed to be strong and they're supposed to, you know, not have emotions. And then we actually, when you do the, you know, secret polling, when it's anonymous, men say, I have nobody to talk to. I'm quite lonely. I wish I had friends that I could reach out to. And I recently saw that there's a TikTok trend, as everything is these days, where men call their friends to say goodnight, and you film sort of the reaction, and the friend is like, "What? Why are you calling?"
What the fuck is happening?
what? Are you dying? Like, what is this? Because it never happens, and you'd be like, "Bro, I'm just saying goodnight." And we need more of this. We need to make the time and make the effort for it. And Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. Finish. You know.
No, all I was gonna say is, no, go ahead. You're so excited. I see it.
Funny, absolutely. No, you finish.
Okay, I say one sentence and we're good. Right. When you make the time, everybody, it's like the gym, right? Everybody feels better after you've done it. When you've been with friends, you can actually relax. You can actually connect. And I really want you to start thinking about, for everybody, do you have people you have friends you hang out with that are funny and cool and whatever, but do you have people you really connect with that you can really talk to about the deeper things in life? And if not, that's where you should start, finding people who can really open up to.
And you know, it's funny because it's called social network. So one would, or social networks, you know, right?
Yes.
One would expect that social networks would enable people to get together, and it's the other way around. Yes. I think social networks very often are, you know, creating some tensions. It's a good thing. Don't take me, you know, wrong. But if we are on a social networks, I think it cannot replace, you know, like face-to-face meeting. Even like if we have like Zoom discussion or whatever, it's, you know, much better than just to chat. Obviously, you need to chat sometimes also, but this is it. And the pressure is, you know, tremendous. And I think the issue is that, you know, man, because we were like hunting, we are very, I think even men who are saying, I'm not competitive at all, subconsciously, all men are competitive. You know, that's for sure. And then it's I think in life, it's always how you create balance between like expressing your competitiveness, your authenticity, provided that you still have a good, you know, connection with the other people and you have some friends, you know, right?
This is super important. And I will tell you, and I think this is a little different for your clientele, but I have some clients and literally I'm just paid to be their friend. They just have nobody else that they can open up to. Obviously, as an executive coach, you sign an NDA, right? So they literally know you won't tell anybody, and you're not in their circle of friends, and you know you don't. So they can really tell the truth, and they don't want to get better at something. They don't want to improve a skill. They're not working towards a goal. They just need a place where they can reflect or share or, you know, make sense of the world that's happening around them, because they don't have that in their lives. Even Jamie Dimon came out this week, a banking CEO, and he said, look, what you need to know about becoming CEO is it's the loneliest place to be. Oh, yeah. Because once you're up there, who are you going to tell? The people below you can't complain to. Who are you going to tell? The people above you can't complain. Are you going to tell the shareholders that you're worried at night? No, you got nobody. And if you know, you have a spouse who maybe, you know, you love, but maybe doesn't understand your world or is maybe sick of hearing about it. Oh, yeah. I don't know how your wife is. So, you know, it helps to have friends who can really relate. And if you can't find a friend, ChatGPT has been a good substitute for people lately. I've heard a lot of people using ChatGPT.
More and more like people are using it, even as a therapist, you know, absolutely.
But even if that's the level you can get to right now, get somewhere, let out whatever it is you're feeling. I'm nervous, I'm scared, I don't feel comfortable in this situation, I'm feeling stuck, I'm, languishing in my current career. It has to be spoken out loud, because the more you push it down, the more that stress lives in your body. Living with constant stress is not great for your longevity, right?
No.
I mean, you're not your true self, you're hiding it, and you live with that stress. So really, the human connection is the best. Why? I would even say the video stuff is good, but the physical stuff, when you're together, it's fundamentally different. When someone touches you on the hand just to say, hi, how are you? Gives you a hug. Exactly. We were meant to be in person. We were meant to co-regulate emotions with each other. So the more you can be with people, the better you'll feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, this is a really, good discussion. I post today on Instagram, right? Because a lot of people are recently asking me, like, what is the real difference between, IQ and EQ? And I put there some posts that, IQ will get you to the mountain, but to stay at the mountain, you need to have an EQ, right? Because this is it. You talk about the top and the job. I was, having a really like top job on the top. It's very lonely. And I can tell you, like, I was the whole day traveling every day, different country, very exciting, in the TV with big customers, sometimes with the president or the prime minister of the country, whatever. But then you are, alone in the hotel. And I like call my wife, and she was like, "Oh, where are you these days?" Right? My wife, she was always like differentiating it's Europe or United States, right? That's what she was. But yeah, it's some country in Europe. We're somewhere in Europe. When I was in the US, it's 9 hours time difference, so we need to work with it.
Yes, it's too hard to keep track of it all when you travel that much, really. I
can tell you now, because I've got a lot of people around me, but I think now, 10 years after I left Microsoft, I have, much more friends than at that time. Really?
Yes.
Because I was touching a lot of people, but it's not friendship. It's, you don't have a time to build relationship, basically. Because a relationship, it's not on transaction basis, like, oh, my friend, Jan, I went to some country and there was a president. I said, oh, Frank, you are my friend. We met like twice in the life, it was transactional. We signed a deal. There was some photo or maybe some, TV opportunity or whatever. That was it, right? But it's transaction. It's not a relationship.
And it's friendly and it's nice and it's, pleasant. And I'm sure it was wonderful. But the depth is what's important in that relationship. Who can you come to with your problems? Who can you talk to when things are hard? Who can you really be vulnerable with? And I think
exactly. Show the weaknesses, show the weak points, touchy points. Absolutely.
Yeah, and people don't, and especially like you said, we live in the Instagram society. We all know this. Everybody makes everything look perfect, and people start to panic. Oh my God, everyone else's life is all put together and everything else is wonderful for them. And it's just me. And the reality is, no, everybody's messy. Everybody's got things going on. And you have to sort of be brave enough to be able to say, hey, can I find someone that I can share this with? Because I guarantee they're going through something similar.
I absolutely agree.
And those friendships, and especially for men, but for everybody, especially for high performers, we don't like to ask for help. We don't like to look weak. It's all the stuff that's going to stop you from having the kinds of relationships that you actually want and need in your life.
Yeah. Let's now, because you rightly, said stress, and meaning. Let's now put like stress and meaning in a relationship, right? And I will use the model of 4 energies. They call it in Old Greece kalokagatia. Okay, starting with the meaning, right? 4 energies are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, right? So let's start with the meaning. If you do meaningful work, right? You really like what you do. You have that emotional connection. Then the chances are that you have a very high spiritual energy, and meaning is a huge thing in your life. There are 2 great books. I repeat it, probably we said it in the past. I read, but I read more books, but two I can really recommend. Viktor Frankl, The Man's Search for Meaning, fantastic book from the doctor who survived a couple of Nazi camps. He was a Jewish, psychiatrist from Austria, fantastic guy. And then the other one from Clay Christensen, I was a professor who was even teaching us in Microsoft, and the book name is How You Will Measure Your Life, basically, right? And interestingly enough, he's saying that once your, life is over, basically, and you will come, whatever you believe, and you will come there, they will not ask you, how many golden medals you've got, or how many, titles, what was your business car, how many cars. They will ask you, how many people did you help during your life, right? And this is it. So meaning is huge, thing. Where is it coming from? Because when you are born, as we said, you have two needs: to be authentic and to have emotional connection with the other people. Okay. And you need to keep a balance. And this is about the meaning. Once you find who you are, you can figure out who you can be and how you can help other people. Interesting enough, there is a great, YouTube now. The lady, she's a professor at Harvard, and her mother was working for 40 years in hospice as a volunteer. And she was basically listening to the people. If people are like dying, what are the basically what they are saying? Well, I would like to do more of that during my life. So number one, they are saying, I would like to be more authentic. Okay. I would like to be more me during my life. Number two, I would like to have more boldness, more courage to really like express who I am. And number three, I would like to have much more relationship with the other people. That emotional, that's exactly what you said. So it's interesting because we are born with those two needs. But then if people are saying what I would do if I would live next time, what I would do much better, are saying, well, we were not following necessarily those two, in either way, right? So back to the meaning. So once you have a meaning, there's a great spiritual energy. If you have a spiritual energy, the chances are that you will be very often in what we call in psychology in flow. Those are this is the state of the mind in your body, when basically your brain is on alpha 8 to 12 hertz, and your performance is optimal because you are here and now, and amygdala, your small monkey in your brain, is switched off. If you have a great mental energy, chances are that you will have a lot of positive emotions from what you do. Okay. So positive emotions is high emotional energy. And if you have positive emotions, all of those great hormones like endorphin, dopamine, in terms of the teams, it's serotonin, oxytocin, will be released. And that will have a huge impact on your body because it's increasing your immunity. And that's exactly. And if it's combined, if you think about what are the main factors of the longevity, those are the main factors of the longevity. They are connected very much to the framework. And now, how meaning, handle stress, if you will. Those people, if you do something, and it's very meaningful for you, you are by definition much less stressful. Because what is stress? Stress is looking at a particular situation, kind of the negative zoom in, right? Because your brain, because our priority for the brain is survival. What does it mean? Your brain remembers the best, the last worst experience. This is it. This is the last ball you screwed up. And I'm next week at the French Open, probably once. I hope we will get, accreditation, the second one. But anyway, so the last, negative experience. So you go like negative, zoom in. If you have a meaning, it's like positive zoom out. You are looking, at the things from the different angle. This is it. I think meaning plus curiosity. Those are the great, drivers, great engines against, against stress. Okay. And then the question is obvious, because we talk about the age, longevity, and so on. How wisdom fits in the picture. Okay. A lot of people are telling me, I was asking a lot of people, and they say, Jan, wisdom is basically your experience. You need to have a lot of experience. And it's not exactly true, because I think wisdom equals experience for sure, multiply by your ability to learn from that experience.
Yes.
Listen, I will give you one example. I know a lot of great, tennis players, ice hockey players, football players. They are great players, but they are not very good coaches, because they are not able to learn from that experience when they were great, in a different job. And I think this is important. That's the wisdom. And I think, because we talk about learning, about experience, you will not get wisdom from you can get like from YouTube, if you listen to some wise people, whatever, but you need to have some experience. I have a real problem with I like a lot of young people. Some of my athletes, I could be grandfather for them. Majority I'm like father, right? Anyway, but some young people are coming to me saying, "Yeah, we would like to do the same thing. Like, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Okay, guys." But I'm like, I'm there like for 40 years already. Okay. I do something with the people for 40 years. You cannot replace, you can read a lot of things, fine. But and how we should do it? I said, you can start to coach somebody in your family or your friends, and start from there and go, step by step. But reading and watching the YouTube will not, replace experience. That's unfortunately, experience is something different from the knowledge, right?
Yes, I love what you said. We have so many comments. We'll get there in just a moment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I just want to comment on what you've said, because exactly what you've described. This is when people get into the ego. I have to protect myself. I don't know what I want. I just need to get busy, and I just do whatever, what's pleasing to everybody, because I don't want to mess it up, or I don't want to fail, or I don't want people to tell me I've done it wrong. And then look at what you're going to regret at the end of your life, right? And so better that you take the courage now, you find some people around you who are supportive and kind, and where you can start to be yourself. And the more you find your purpose, and the more you put yourself out towards your purpose, the more you'll meet people who accept, respect, understand, and like who you are when you're going for that purpose. So many of us are too scared, thinking, oh, but people are going to reject me. Just the opposite. You're going to find more people who understand you and like you for who you are once you have the courage to go for it. And I really want people to understand stress. When I teach this, when I'm in corporate stuff, I tell people pressure is you feel like you have to perform, and it's a short, time frame. There's a lot of pressure in a sports match. There's one match right here, right now. But stress is actually just feeling I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have the resources to handle everything that's coming my way. And in fact, I love that Jan said, but just pause everything for a second and zoom out. I don't need it to be perfect. I don't need to have the exact right answer. I don't need to have all the information. I just know the end result of where I want to get to, because I know the impact I want to create or the meaning I want to have in the world. I can breathe. I can slow down. I can reorient.
Yeah.
What's one right step towards that direction? And all of a sudden, it's not stressful or overwhelming. If you fail at one thing, who cares? You get up and you play the next round, right? Nobody has solved climate change. When you have a meaning in life, you go for something big. It's not going to be like, oh, got it, check that box off. Okay, we've cured cancer. Let's get it, anything that's really powerful, meaningful, it's an ongoing thing. So if one time you get knocked down, who cares? You just keep getting right back up. And meaning gives you that ability, that resilience, that hope to keep getting back up. And that's why the longevity works, because every day you wake up knowing, even if it's small, I've done something in the right direction for me, for the world. We've got some good
let's go. Yeah. Nick, I say, Jan, you will never be allowed to retire. Now, Jana, is there a possibility to get a list of the books recommendation? Definitely. Yeah. We can, do it. But let's now, maybe from the, top of our heads, Lisa, if you can, mention some books, I will do the same. So we can give like maybe 10, 12 books together,
Yes.
So what would you recommend the book?
First of all, Jan, you're a prolific writer. I am still not good at writing books, but you have. So I always recommend Positive Leader, right? If you have children.
Interesting enough, in IOC, there are like 3 people who read it in the Institute of Coaching at Harvard, and now everybody's like, they talk about it. I'm really I'm like, I'm glad you guys figure out. That's good.
Yeah, so
it is. I think it is a solid book. Yeah.
Yeah, and the people who are here and saying, hey, we like what you have to say, Jan, then there's more in those books, right?
Yeah.
There are a few books that I find myself consistently recommending. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Number one, especially for women, The 7 Rules of Power by Jeffrey Pfeffer. It's really about understanding how to use power in the modern world, but not the nice stuff, not what's written in a Harvard Business Review article where they say, just like Jan says, hey, learn EQ, and that's super important. But there's a sociological way that power works, and it takes into account how human brains work, how survival works, how fear works, right? And he just says, I'm not saying these are good. I'm not saying these are bad. I'm not saying use them for good or bad. There's nothing moral about it. But he says, I absolutely want you to understand how to use power. And regularly, even if you don't read the book, but you follow Jeffrey Pfeffer, he's a Stanford professor, follow him on LinkedIn, for example. He's forever posting, oh, Trump did something good. That applies to rule number 6. Here's why that worked when nobody else thought it would work. Here's why, because power works the way it works. And I think everybody should have an understanding, not fighting, oh, I don't like the way it works. Tough. You have to understand it. You don't have to play the game in a nasty way, but you have to understand it in order to make power work for you. And you can use power to do good, right? That's how movements happen. That's how progression and change happens, through people who are willing to take on power. The second one that I often recommend is called Emotional Agility by Susan David. She's a Harvard professor, founder of the Institute of Coaching, where Jan and I met. And she really talks about how to not get stuck in your emotions. So if we talk about, for me, the number one skill that leaders need, but really anybody needs in the modern times, is emotional regulation. Because if you're too overwhelmed, if you're too angry, if you're too worried about change, you can't make good decisions, you can't have a healthy lifestyle. It actually all fundamentally starts in emotional regulation. And I know people think, oh, but that's like a soft skill, nice to have. No, it's actually just the world is very overwhelming. And if you can't handle the overwhelm, you drown in it. So this is just survival skills in the modern era. But it really helps you to see, this is the emotion. How do I name it? How do I not get stuck in it? How do I not freak out, right? How do I just work with my emotions and make them work for me? So I will stop there, at least for now, but these are the books that I recommend so wholeheartedly. If you want to change your lives, just these 2 would be
enough. Then, following what Lisa said, emotions, there's a great, Professor Lisa Feldman. She was also, speaker a couple of times on our events, For example, the book, How Emotions Are Created. She's very deep in emotions. Fantastic. On emotional intelligence, I would definitely recommend, it's like classic from Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence. That's the book. Okay. Then my dear friend Deepak Chopra wrote recently a book which was published a couple of months ago called Digital Dharma. And a very good book. Okay. Whatever is from Chopra is good, because he's like putting together spirituality and science. Some scientists, they don't like him, but I like him, right? He put his name on the positive leader. He's the first, one like on the reference. So it's Deepak. Then I have here Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of the Most Effective People. Stephen unfortunately passed away. That was our teacher also. It's a fantastic book. Then definitely you should read something about Da Vinci, because Da Vinci, for me, is a guy who was, I think he was much smarter than, people who are really smarter today. Okay. So Da Vinci would be, and whatever, there's a, remind me, Lisa, there's an American author. It's a very, thick book. and he's specialized on the biographies. I met him in Prague. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, but that's the latest, Okay, so that's him. Stephen Kotler, The Art of Impossible. That's the guy who is deeply in flow, in optimal performance. That's another, that's another great book. Then I would say that book will be published in autumn, but there is a great guy on neuroscience, Andrew Huberman. His, YouTube is like 6 or 7 million people already, followers. And you should watch him. You should watch him and then buy the book, because he's a really, great guy. If you would consider, coaching, there's a great book. My name is on that book, but I'm not the author. It's my dear friend and scholar. She's professor from New Zealand. She lives in London. It's called Business Coaching. It was published in FT series by Financial Times. And there's a basically summary of all, like, coaching methods and how you should price your services and stuff like that. It's really good. It is a really good stuff. Yeah. No, and how will you measure your life from Man's Search for Meaning, right? So those are like a couple of books I would, definitely recommend.
Yes. I want to add 2 more since I had a little bit more time to think, if that's okay. Anything by Adam Grant. He's fantastic.
Oh yeah. Adam is great also.
So, the latest book is, for example, Think Again, but he also has stuff called Originals. How do we get to be original thinkers? So if you're more on the innovative side. And then what I would say is totally off brand, let's say, from business, but The Artist's Way. For any of you who haven't heard of it, it's basically like a 10-week, it's a book that's like a workbook, and every week you have a little bit of a reading, you have some exercises to do, and it's a bit of a spiritual book, but it's really about tapping into your creativity. And although she's a writer, like, traditional artist, it's really for anybody who wants to tap into their natural creativity. And so many of us, when we were younger, we were creative. We played, we painted, we sang, we danced, we wrote poems, whatever, in childhood. And then you got more serious as an adult and you forgot how to play. You forgot how to express these other parts of you. And The Artist's Way is really about just like awakening more of that natural, curious, excited, hopeful, artistic side of you. And it can be life-changing for people. So it's not a traditional business book, but I can't tell you how many people have gone through it who are business professionals and said, that was the best book I've ever read. So Artist's Way by, I can't remember her name right now, but there's only one, Julia Campbell, something like that. Julia Cameron. The Artist's Way.
Artist's Way. I put it down. There is from Michal. There is a question: is LinkedIn a wrong place for longevity, as you constantly compare your success with the others? It's general. We can say it generally about all social networks, right?
All of them.
And Michal, obviously, I'm like human being as everybody else. So I was doing a lot of that in the past. And I tell you how I changed. I look at Instagram, but mainly I try to learn and figure out what's going on. Okay. And for me, like my major, I used to have a lot of like balanced scorecards in Microsoft and so on. You know what is my scorecard today? How many people that day I helped to move a little bit. And today, for example, I coach my tennis player, Jan Kumstad, right? And a friend of mine, he called me from CBRE, that's a large, American company. So I help him. He will be interviewed for some bigger job and stuff like that. But I can tell you, like yesterday experience, like over the weekend, I did some podcast, before I went for a, vacation, and they publish it over the weekend. And we've got like on Instagram, like 120,000 people watch it. And I've got like 500 more followers, whatever, right? Which seems to be like great. It's a social network. But I was a little bit, happy. But I tell you where I was really happy. Yesterday, I was teaching the class. There was like 20 kids and probably like 30 parents, because some parents were like 2 parents, some with only 1. after the course, we've got with Katarina, she's my counterpart, we are teaching it together. We've got like huge applause, like standing ovation from 10 to 14 years old kids. I mean, for me, I have energy for another month, I can tell you. And this is it. This is main reason why. I mean, the money is great, the followers are great, whatever. But this is it. I said, you know what? This is it, whatever. And I have also from time to time some haters, you know, saying this is nonsense what you are saying. That's fine, you know, we are right. But this is it, you know, right? And I think it's really and it's not, I didn't totally switch. I sometimes compare also me to the others. But I'm always like, mind your own business. And my own business is to help people to understand who they are, to figure out who they can be. Because I always think like, okay, 13 years ago, you were at the edge to die, basically, when during my depression, it was so bad, you know, right? So for me, like every day after that, it's like, you know, new opportunity. And that's, I don't think like every day, oh, I'm now like 63 years old and 5 months or whatever. No, there's a new day, new opportunity. Thanks God for that. You know, right?
Yes.
It's a gratitude, basically. Yeah.
Yes. And Michael, it's such an important conversation to be having. And this is what I mean about having people who will share honestly with you, because this is the kind of question that most people think in their head, never discuss with anyone else, and then think, oh, it's me. Everyone else is great. And it's just me. Absolutely. So Jan and I will share honestly, and I will share very honestly as well. I came to a turning point, gosh, it's probably like 4 years ago now, when I was looking at expanding my business outside of Switzerland. I was looking to open a Dubai office, looking to open a New York office, took a trip to, you know, check it out, scope, maybe hiring some people, making some connections. And this is what I realized. I went to Dubai first for 5 weeks. I started talking to people. It was good. I knew there was a market. I thought I could hire some good coaches in the region who could work for the team. And then I said to my husband one day, so this means I'm going to be doing the administration. I'm going to be doing, you know, helping other coaches to fulfill the work. And then I'm no longer going to be doing the stuff I love. I'm just going to be running the business. And I said, is that what I really want? And I had to really step back. And believe me, this sounds nice and neatly wrapped in a bow, but it took me a long time to realize I'm trying to build my business bigger, because the natural script is bigger, more. You should grow your career. Absolutely. You should advance. You should make it more. And what I had to realize is I'm not growing it because I want to grow it. I'm growing it because I want it to be impressive to other people that I've grown to these other locations and I built a thriving business. And I really had to stop myself and say, I don't want to live my life to please others or to impress others. And I went back to what's my purpose? What's the work I want to be doing? And I had to make the conscious choice. I'm going to keep my business small, right? I could have grown it, but it wouldn't have been the right definition of success for me. And I say it as though like, wow, I learned this great lesson and now everybody, I'm free of any comparisons whatsoever. Obviously not, because I came back from this Asia trip where I was gone for 3 months and I just came back last month. And I still came back and I was like, wow, I'm so zen. I know exactly what I want from life. And then I come to LinkedIn and this person's getting promoted and this coach is on this, you know, island and this coach is doing this and this. And I got sucked right back into it. Am I doing enough? And now I don't feel bad about myself in terms of I'm not smart enough and they're smarter than I am. What I feel is I need to be doing more. I should be busier. I should be growing more. I should be. And once again, I had to hit the pause button and go, hold on, whose definition of success am I following and why am I following it? And again, it's a hard fight to have, but I said, this is the pressure I feel. Let's be honest, pleasing my parents, right? I don't think they even, you know,
it's always
or care, but it's
the parents, you know, your friends, your family, whoever. You know.
Exactly. And then it's like the family, the friends, I like the reputation, and so I had to stop myself and I said, no, it's the wrong path. It's the easy path to fall into and the trap to fall into where I am in prison to what other people think of me. And I choose my freedom and my meaning over going down that path. And so it's a very intellectual process that I have to go through, but it's what constantly realigns me and lets me cut the noise out. And that's the way I can stay focused and I can get exactly where I want to go and not find I've spent 10 years going in the wrong direction. So, Michal, I hope that helps a bit.
Yeah. And I will go to the roots of that, you know, comparison, right? Because it's even called now stress from comparison, because we are always like comparing. Evolution, okay. From evolution, humans, you want to be in that hierarchy very high, because in the past that meant, you know, more food, better shelter, whatever, you know, right? Now it's more about the fame, money, status symbols, what kind of the handbag you have and car you driving, whatever. And if you are driven by, you know, other people, and other people will tell you you are here, or you think that you are here, whatever, no, you should say, I'm definitely here because I was recognized by 20, you know, young kids. And, you know, today you're fighting for their attention big time. Okay.
Yes.
Big time. For me, it's a huge recognition, you know, right? It's like winning Olympic Games. I have a, you know, Joseph Dostal is a canoeing, you know, guy that I'll help you. So this is it. And once you, and amygdala will still tell you, oh, that guy is having that guy, I should do more, whatever. You should do whatever, you know, right? Because it's like people are saying economy needs to grow all the time. I'm not sure, you know, right? No economist. It's good if the economy is growing, right? But sometimes we are overreacting because, you know, we are like firing people and then hiring again after 3-4 months. It's over, you know, right? The issue today with social networks and with all, you know, connected world is that comparison in the past, you were comparing yourself because we were, you know, living in relatively small groups. So we were comparing ourselves to, you know, relatively small number of the people. Today, the comparison is global, basically, especially if you like handle English very well. So you can read, oh, fuck, you know, that guy is like.
Yes.
And the other thing is that, you know, on social networks, usually people follow really some bizarre cases, you know, some stupid thing, more stupidity in the past. Stupidity is getting global phenomena thanks to the social networks. I'll explain it. When you were stupid in the past, only people in the village or your, you know, couple of your people knew, hey, this is a stupid guy, fine. Today, you know, thanks to the social networks, everybody knows around the world. If you are smart, stupid, you know, right, then you know how to post it. And unfortunately, if you look into the human history, like the Rome Empire, whatever, the civilization which celebrated stupidity didn't end, you know, very well.
No. And again, I just want to tie everything back with what we've been saying throughout, because as we've gotten here and we're talking about comparison doesn't make you live your life. And remember, I told you there's a book on power. Well, the first rule of power that you can read, rule number 1, is get out of your own way. Stop talking badly about yourself. Start believing in yourself. Start believing in your power. When the brain feels weak because you feel, oh, I'm not, you know, the world is happening to me, or the boss likes me or doesn't like me, and my worth is tied to if other people give me applause or not, you've given away your power. And that will never feel good in your body. You will forever be stressed because you will never feel whole and complete, because the next day is a new test whether you're good enough or not. And so when you come back to, I fully accept myself, right? I have a self-compassion, you know, every day when I do something stupid, I forgive myself. And I really do it consciously. And it's not self-help, touchy-feely.
Yeah.
It's really about closing the stress loops in my body. I have to move on. I have to move forward. I have to move with hope. I have to move with purpose. I have to get rid of the stress. And so believing in my power, okay, something bad has happened, I can do something about it, or I can move forward with my life around it, makes any one incident not feel so strong, scary, overwhelming. Because Jan said it earlier. Once you've had a bad experience, your brain says, fear, bad, stop, don't do this again, danger. And if it's truly dangerous, right, don't walk off a cliff, great. But if it's not truly dangerous, it was just I wanted to try an entrepreneurial thing and I didn't, or I wanted to speak up in a meeting and someone yelled at me, and so I'm never going to do that again. Wrong lesson learned. You've given up your power there. Keep standing strong in your power. That's how you can live that meaningful life that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, we're already being asked for the third round of this longevity topic. So many good points to go through here. I think one thing we haven't talked about is just making sure that longevity feels easy. If you think of it like this is a big thing I'm going to tackle and it's a project and I'm going to win at longevity, right? Look at Brian Johnson. He's sort of the #1 guy in longevity.
Yeah.
He's crazy. He's crazy.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
He trades out his plasma. He takes 400 pills a day. He literally lives his entire life to a longevity regimen. That's not what longevity has to be for you. Longevity can be as simple as I take the stairs. Jan said, walk up the escalator. I have a policy. I always take the stairs. My kids know from what, we always take the stairs. They don't even ask. They don't hit the elevator button. We go. When I park far away so I can park in, I can walk in and out. I make sure that there's movement throughout the day. I don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be a whole routine. You build these small things in. You guys forever see me sipping water as we have these conversations, always staying hydrated. I don't sit and measure and say, have I had my 3? I just keep it available in front of me and then I will drink. So you set yourself up with small wins, have small words of encouragement for yourself. Like I said, if you say, oh my God, I messed this thing up. Oh my God, that other person's better. Jan sounded smarter on today's call than I did. Forgive yourself and move on. And when you can do that and don't spend time, energy, stress, worrying all the time, you're then free to have more time for reading and relationships and enjoying long meals. It's the stress and the feeling of I don't have enough time that's actually keeping you from having a really good longevity experience, let's call it, throughout the day. So breathe, you're fine. I often will tell people, take out a Post-it note and write it on there. I have enough time. Because people love to say, but I don't have enough time. And I don't have enough time for this. And I never see my friends because of this. And I'm always busy, busy, busy. Stop living life like it's scarcity. I have the time I need. All the time I need, I have it for the things that are most important.
Absolutely.
Now, I cut out a lot of BS that's not important, but I have the time for everything that's important. These are the small things that will get you on the right path. Last words of wisdom, Jan?
Well, yeah, ended up on the optimistic, note, right? There are people like David Sinclair, who is considered one of the, top experts on longevity. And not only him, but a couple of others are saying that today's science is so much ahead that if you will live for next 15 to 20 years, then you will decide how long will you live. I don't know whether it's true or not, but what we know for, sure that, meaning is playing very important role in your life. Then obviously we talk about food, but we talk also about, movement, about sport and so on. A relationship with the other people, because we are like our genes, we talk about authenticity, that we want our genes to be expressed freely. But, the genes, majority of the genes are expressed based on the environment. It's called epigenetics, above, genes. Only like 5% of the genes are expressed anyway, right? So your environment, the way, you basically create your surroundings. Everybody today, we live, if you want, to admit it or not, but we are creating the bubbles on social networks, in the jobs, whatever. So you need to be very picky with your environment. That's for, sure, right?
Yes.
That's for sure. And then the last point I would like to mention, and again, this is, connected with all, you know, technology, with development and so on. I think you mentioned artificial intelligence, like, you know, psychotherapy or whatever. I would definitely recommend you to learn a lot about artificial intelligence, because whatever you will do, unless you will do snow removal, and it's not, you know, great job because there's not that much snow anymore. Okay. So unless you do snow removal, which is very much local, then your job will be influenced by artificial intelligence. And I'm amazed how fast it's developing, you know, right?
Yes. Yes. I'm there with it every day. So maybe in the next couple of sessions, we'll also go into that depth. Hey, maybe Mika will think about a part 3 on longevity. You know, we're always open to any topics you all want. We're here for you, or, you know, the purpose is to serve you.
Absolutely. So okay, guys, thanks very much. Have a great, you know, week, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.